On the Juche idea, treatise sent to the National Seminar on the Juche idea held to mark the 70th birthday of the great leader, Comrade Kim Il-sung, March 31st, 1982. We will soon welcome the 70th birthday of the leader. It is very significant that to mark his 70th anniversary, we are holding a national seminar on the Juche idea. The seminar has assessed with pride the ideological and theoretical achievements made by the leader in leading our revolution and construction for more than half a century, and has powerfully demonstrated again the greatness and correctness of the Juche idea. The Juche idea is the precious fruit of the leader's profound, widespread ideological and theoretical activities, and its creation is the most brilliant of his revolutionary achievements. By creating the great Juche idea, the leader opened up a new road leading to victory in the revolution before the working class and the masses of the people, and brought about a historic turn in the fulfillment of the revolutionary cause of the people. The history of the Korean Revolution, pioneered and led by the leader, is a glorious history which records the splendid application and overall a victory of the great Juche idea. The Juche idea represents an invariable guiding idea of the Korean Revolution and a great revolutionary banner of our time. At present, we are confronted with the honorable task of modeling the whole society on the Juche idea. The objective of this historic cause is to complete our revolution, which has developed and triumphed under the banner of the Juche idea. In order to realize this cause, all party members and working people should clearly understand the truth of the Juche idea and think and act strictly in accordance with its requirements. Only when one is firmly armed with the Juche idea and advances under its banner would it be possible to emerge victorious in the revolution and construction, surmounting all difficulties and trials. This is a conviction which our people have acquired through the history of revolutionary struggles spanning over half a century. Availing myself of the opportunity provided by this meeting of the social scientists and theoretical information workers from all over the country who gathered here to debate on the Juche idea and its great victory on the eve of the 70th anniversary of the leader's birthday, I would like to refer to the questions related to the principles of the Juche idea.
Section 1, the origin of the Juche idea. A progressive idea plays an important role in socio-historical progress. When the masses are guided by a progressive idea, they can be a powerful creator of history. Of course, it does not mean that all progressive ideas play the same role in socio-historical development. Their role is different according to how they represent the aspirations and interests of the masses and how correctly they show the path which must be followed in struggle. There were ideas which reflected the aspirations of progressive classes of society even before the emergence of the working class. But due to their historical and class limitations, the trends of thought in the past age could not but be hampered in the role they played in social development. The revolutionary ideas of the working class alone can correctly reflect the demands of the time and the aspirations of the masses, and give a powerful stimulus to socio-historical development by inspiring the people to wage the revolutionary struggle. The revolutionary ideas of the working class are originated by distinguished leaders. It can be said that the history of the communist movement, spanning 100 and scores of years, is a history of working class leaders creating and developing revolutionary ideas, a history in which these ideas have been applied to transform the world. In the mid-19th century, Marx and Engels propounded Marxism. Thus, they highlighted the historical mission and a path of liberation that had to be followed by the working class that appeared on the arena of struggle and stimulated the fight against capital ushering in the rise of the international communist movement. Lenin developed Marxism and advanced Leninism in accordance with the new historical conditions, whereby capitalism had entered the phase of imperialism, with the result that he inspired the working class and the rest of the people to the struggle to destroy imperialist strongholds and to achieve freedom and liberation. This marked the beginning of transition from capitalism to socialism.
Our leader created the Juche idea after acquiring a deep insight into the requirements of a new era when the oppressed and humiliated masses of people became masters of their own destiny. Thus, he developed their struggle for independence onto a higher plane and opened up the age of Juche, a new era in the development of human history. The revolutionary idea of the working class emerges as the reflection of the mature demand of history and the revolution in their development. When the leaders embarked on the road of revolution, a new development was taking place in the struggle of the working class and the masses against exploitation and oppression. On the world arena, the influence of socialism, which had won its first victory, grew strong, and the revolutionary struggle of the working class and the liberation struggle of the peoples in the colonies and semi-colonies were intensified sharply. In an attempt to stop the revolutionary advance of the masses and weather the serious political and economic crises that they were passing through, the imperialists further increased their plunder and oppression of the people. In many countries, contradictions and antagonisms between revolution and counter-revolution were intensified, and the masses of the people whose sovereign rights had been trampled down for a long time rose up in a struggle for their class and national liberation. A new age was approaching, in which the revolutionary movement made progress in a broad and diversified way on a worldwide scale. In order to advance the revolution under the new historical conditions, the working class and the people of every country, conscious of being the masters, had to solve all problems in accordance with their actual situation. In our country, this was a particularly important matter because of the peculiarities of historical development and complexity and arduousness of the revolution. The Korean Revolution demanded more urgently the masses hew out the path of revolution in the independent and creative matter. The Juche idea was created on the basis of such a practical requirement of the Korean Revolution. The revolution is a struggle to meet the masses' desire for independence by enlisting their strength. It is a struggle of the masses to free themselves. When they are armed with the revolutionary idea and united into an organized political force, the masses can emerge victorious in the revolution. The duty of revolutionaries is to go among the masses, masters of the revolution, to educate, organize, and inspire them to a struggle. The revolutionary forces, too, should be trained from among the masses, and all problems arising in the revolutionary struggle should likewise be resolved in reliance on their wisdom and strength. However, the communists and nationalists who were allegedly engaged in the national liberation movement in our country in the 1920s gave no thought to the need to go among the masses to educate, organize, and arouse them in waging a revolutionary struggle. But divorced from the masses, they were only engrossed in the scramble for hegemony and empty talks. They did not unite the masses, but divided them by factional strife. In the first years of this revolutionary struggle, the leaders saw their mistakes and took a road different from theirs. The genuinely revolutionary road which led him to be among the masses and to rely on them in the struggle. He elucidated the truth that the masters of the revolution are the masses of the people, and that when one goes among them to educate and mobilize them, one will be able to register victory in the revolution. This is one of the starting points of the Juche idea.
Reading this, I was just getting the what was I gonna say? I was kind of getting the sense that it was almost alluding to something like socialism with Korean characteristics. Now, what is he saying that's different from, say, what's going on in China? That is he talking about tactically just knowing the people of Korea, or is he talking about a different theory for Marxism-Leninism completely?
Yeah. I mean, what I would say to that is the difference between, say, Juche ideology and Dangism or socialism with Chinese characteristics is there's nothing which is at odds between Juche and Marxism-Leninism. Juche is not a revision of Marxism-Leninism. It has, you could say, additions, namely the emphasis on the need for the independence of the people and the people to be the masters of their own destiny, the people being, the working class, the broad masses. But yeah, it's not really a revision of anything that you would see in Marx or Lenin, which is distinct from, in my opinion, what you would see in, say, Dangism.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. And perhaps we can have Angelo speak after this, because for those who don't know Angelo D'Angelo, he was involved in the original American-Korean Friendship Information Center, ACFIC, from like the 70s. And he also lived in the Soviet Union in the 70s. In the 80s, he went there to the Soviet Union. And the Soviet line was the same here, that the revolution in each country should be carried out responsibly by its own people. What's interesting in this section, well, to comment on what Tyler said, in a way, what you said is correct, actually, with the whole, socialism with characteristics. But this section here, if you read that first paragraph, it reminds me of like the many left groups in this country. And it says it here, divorced from the masses. Yeah, they divided the movement into factional strife, because over the time we've been doing these KFA meetings or study groups, and I know a certain youth league that some of us might be a part of, we studied works from Kim Il-sung, that the movement, the national liberation movement in Korea in the 20s was really bad, and that their Communist Party actually was delisted. It was like removed from the Comintern because of the internal problems they were having. This is back when they had a Comintern. For those who don't know, Comintern is Communist International, which at the time was led in the Soviet Union, later led by Georgy Dimitrov and Stalin. But it seems like this section, what it basically says is, it says it right there. You have to go out, you have to educate, organize, and arouse. It says them, it says the masses. It doesn't necessarily say proletarians or working class, it just says masses. But it's interesting. I would like to ask, maybe Joe, you could do just.
Yeah, I'd like to answer something on that.
Okay.
If you look at the next paragraph, he's alluding to something else. In the first years, where he says, the revolution in each country should be carried out responsibly by its own people, the masters, in an independent manner, and in a creative way suitable to its specific conditions. He's taking the Marxist idea, clearly I see this, that you have to look at the conditions of your area and apply those conditions to your struggle. But he's also saying that the people are the ones that have to carry it out. And he is answering indirectly here. I don't know if you people know this. He was very opposed to the idea of the Red Army coming in to a place and then setting up socialism there. He makes a big stink about that. after everything happened in 1991, the counter-revolution succeeded. And he said, our way, the way we did it, wasn't that way. Now, you do know the Red Army was in Northern Korea, and they left after a certain period. The United States stayed in the Southern Korean area after 1945. They stayed there. So this is what he's talking about. He's alluding to the fact that we built our socialism by relying on the people, the masters, not on an occupation force, the Red Army. He doesn't say it here, but later on in other documents, he does say it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We can go back to the reading.
The revolution in each country should be carried out responsibly by its own people, the masters, in an independent manner and in a creative way suitable to its specific conditions. Independence and creativeness are the inherent requirements of a revolutionary movement, the communist movement. The Korean Revolution, which opened the age of Juche, could not advance even a step forward unless it was conducted in an independent and creative way from the start. It was a difficult and complex revolution which had to deal with the task of the anti-imperialist national liberation revolution, with the formidable Japanese imperialism as the target, and those of the anti-feudal democratic revolution simultaneously. It was an arduous revolution which had to hew out an untrodden path. What is worse, a strong tendency towards flunkeyism appeared in those days within our anti-Japanese national liberation movement and communist movement to hamper the advance of the revolution. The nationalist and self-styled Marxist followed the evil practices of flunkeyism and fictional strife, which had resulted in the country's ruin in the past. They did not try to carry out the revolution by their own initiative, but dreamed of achieving independence by depending on foreign forces. At that time, those who were allegedly engaged in the communist movement formed their own party groups and called frequently at the Comintern to gain its recognition. And they endeavored to imitate mechanically established theories and experience of others, without taking into consideration the historical conditions and specific realities in our country where a colonial and semi-feudal society was in existence. In this way, flunkeyism and dogmatism were very serious obstacles in the way of revolution. Drawing on serious lessons derived from such flunkeyism and dogmatism, the leader clarified the truth that a revolution should be carried out not by anyone's approval or instruction but by one's own conviction and on one's own responsibility, and that all problems arising in the revolution should be solved in an independent and creative way. This is another starting point of the Juche idea. As stated previously, the leader advanced the Juche idea, a new revolutionary idea on the basis of practical experience and lessons gained in the revolutionary struggle. The leader has conducted ideological and theoretical activities invariably based on a revolutionary practice, and developed and enriched a revolutionary idea and theories in the course of giving answers to problems arising in the revolutionary practice. Only on the basis of revolutionary practice can one apply existing theories in accordance with the interests of the revolution and actual conditions in one's own country and search for new truths and create new ideas and theories. In his early years of revolutionary activities, the leader was well versed in Marxism-Leninism, but he did not confine himself to applying Marxism-Leninism to the Korean Revolution, but pioneered a new phase of revolutionary theory from a steadfast, Juche-based standpoint, and resolved the problems arising in the revolutionary practice from a unique angle.
Any questions on what we read?
Yeah, this is Angelo from Staten Island, New York. If you could hear me.
Yep, we hear you.
Yeah, I'm going to be so bold as to say, in my opinion, he was going beyond Marxism-Leninism. That may be something that is not well understood or accepted. I personally think Marxism-Leninism is a science. It does answer everything. I kind of am uncomfortable by hearing that he's going beyond Marxism-Leninism. The people in China during the Mao period, if you remember, they had a silhouette of Engels, Marx, Stalin, Lenin, Stalin, and then Mao. They were also saying that Mao was going beyond what Stalin and Lenin and Engels and Marx said. I think it's dangerous, in my opinion. It can be dangerous. What happened? You can go into what I consider an ultra-left deviation if you go outside of Marxism, Leninism. And I see that where the direction of this kind of writing can go. All right, I just want to give you my analysis, my understanding. Thank you.
Yeah, we have Tom, Mr. Tom, as the official delegate right now. I'm the general secretary right now of the Korean Friendship Association. But I agree with that analysis. Obviously, we are Americans, so we already have one strike against us in this realm of communist politics. But that is what this writing is. It's a deviation from Marxism, Leninism.
Yeah, and if I could, comment briefly, and this was something which was pointed out in the previous text we read with the Socialist Workers' Party, Kim Il-sung's address to the Socialist Workers' Party. Excuse me. So when the counter-revolution succeeded in the Soviet Union in 1991, the rest of the Eastern Bloc fell very soon afterwards. There were successful counter-revolutions pretty much everywhere very soon afterwards. But that didn't happen in the DPRK. The DPRK managed to persist, like Cuba, past the Soviet Union. So I wonder if this emphasis on independence and the people being the masters of their own destiny was part of that, in the sense that it allowed them to stand on their own after the international communist movement had such a big hit. But that would be my contribution to it. So I'll go back to the reading.
The leader discovered the truth of the Juche idea in the course of the struggle against bigoted nationalists and bogus Marxists, worshippers of great powers and dogmatists, while hewing out a new path for the revolution. Finally, he explained the principles of the Juche idea at the meeting of leading personnel of the Young Communist League and Anti-Imperialist Youth League held at the Kalon in June 1930, and put forward a Juche-oriented line for the Korean Revolution. This was a historical event which heralded the creation of the Juche idea and the birth of the Juche-oriented revolutionary line. At the time of the disorder, when the national reformism, quote unquote, left and right opportunism and all other unsound ideas were prevailing, the leader still in his teens gained an insight into the trend of the times, the desire of the people, and the law of historical development, expounded the truths of Juche
10:39 Eastern,
and just opened the road of independent development for our revolution. The Juche idea has been perfected as the guiding idea of revolution in our age and the practice of the Korean Revolution. The guiding idea of revolution cannot be made perfect by one effort at a moment. It emerges through the generalization of experience in the revolutionary struggle on the basis of the conditions of the times in history. It becomes perfect as an integrated ideological and theoretical system when its truthfulness is verified and its content is enriched during a protracted struggle. The leader led to victory the revolutionary struggles at different stages and to work in all fields of politics, the economy, culture, and military affairs. In this course, he himself gained a wealth of precious experience and generalized it to steadily develop the Juche idea in a profound manner. The history of the leader who has led the arduous Korean Revolution for more than 50 years is a history in which he created the Juche idea and perfected it as a unique ideological and theoretical system in the great revolutionary practice. As stated previously, the Juche idea emerged on the basis of the requirements of a new age when the masses of the people appeared as the masters of history and of a rich experience gained in the revolutionary struggle. So it has become the great guiding idea of revolution in our age.
But did anybody have anything they want to say on either the section or as a whole, or what we just read?
Yeah, Angelo from Staten Island, New York, would like to give some observations.
Okay.
The words he used are interesting words. Flunkyism, dogmatism. Who uses those terms today in the communist movement? Well, if nobody here has read about it, that was the attack that Khrushchev had on Stalin. Flunkyism. What is flunkyism? Flunkyism is another word for yesism. You know what that is in a company or an organization. Yes, they say yes to the boss. In the classroom, they would call it teacher's pet, brown-nosed teacher, that kind of thing. That's what flunkyism means. And he's opposed to that. So who was the flunkyism that was happening in the communist movement at the time he was talking about? It was Stalin. It was all the parties were very subservient and understood that Stalin was presenting a course that was correct. And that's what the communist movement followed. And he calls that, he refers to it indirectly as flunkyism. The other word he uses is dogmatic Marxist. Who's he talking about? Well, the bourgeoisie, when they talk about dogmatic Marxists, they mean real communists. That's New York Times terminology. People should know that. They used that against Ligachev and other communists in the Soviet Union who fought against Gorbachev. That's what the New York Times called them, dogmatic. In this country, reformers and reformists in the communist movement use that word dogmatic. And they use it in reference to people who follow to the T, Marxism-Leninism. The CPUSA did that. They did that. When 1991 passed and Gus Hall passed away in the year 2000, that was their words they used for people who wanted to support the Soviet Union and those who supported Marxism-Leninism. That was the word they used. You should go back to that period of time and look at some of the things that came out of the leadership after 2000. So I'm saying that this is going to lead to something. I see a lot of connections here to a form of revising things, thinking outside of the box. That's another big term they use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
But how do you think outside of the box if the emphasis of the system is on an ideological purity and unification of the masses for that pure ideal? Does that create a system that is too rigid and unable to cope with challenges and changes in the environment, changes in the people, changes in nearby countries? I don't know the answer to these questions, but Angelo raises that in my mind.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's exactly the good question. Remember also that all the socialist countries had a way of operating. Only one country talked about the leader, and only one country talked about a family from father to son, and that was North Korea. You did not have that in East Germany. You did not have that in the German Democratic Republic. You didn't have that in Poland, in the Socialist Republic of Poland, or the People's Republic of Poland. You didn't have that. They operated where the party was supreme. And what we had in North Korea is that the party was a tool to be used by a family. They say that. I'm not saying that. That's what their position is. You have to look at that and observe that and see which one of those views is more democratic with a small d, not a big D, small d. Which one would encompass more people? A family running the society or the party running the society? Which one has more people involved? It's a question you got to ask yourself. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for staying on so late. I hope you have a good night. I move to adjourn.